Alrighty, what is up everybody, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, as you can tell by the title, today we are talking about Solana and what its price is doing. You all know it's just been doing a lot of Solana updates recently, and that's because the rest of the market really isn't doing much, so we might as well talk about one that is making some type of progress and, well, what we can expect from it. So with that said, we're not going to waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into Solana. So, looking at Solana here, what we can see is that its price has still been on a decent track now that it is broken out from in this descending channel that we were in. Now, this is pretty dang on good, right? You know, usually whenever we see these descending channels, they can go on and on and on and on for long periods of time. There have been moments that we've seen Solana stuck in descending channels like this for months, okay? So the fact that we did break out of this thing within a span of roughly about a month, that is a decent sign. But what I told you all was that although this is great, and although it is nice that we did get this move to the upside, we have to be extremely careful because you never know when we are going to put in some type of A, B, C correction to the downside and continue this move to the downside like the rest of the market is doing. You all know that my current, I don't want to say worry, but the thing that I'm getting the most cautious about is the fact that Solana does have such a beautiful and such a strong trend line that has been established here, and it wouldn't shock me whatsoever to see Solana get a pullback back towards this trend line, very similar to what we're seeing Ethereum do, which we will talk about in a second. And so with that in mind, I told you all that there are a few steps, there are a few things that just need to happen before we can start saying that Solana is in the clear and that it will start getting this move towards the upside back up towards $30. And so what we're going to do today is I'm going to give you just the big picture, exactly what you need to be on the lookout for and exactly how I'm going about this so that I can really start to be confident that Solana is going to make the move that I want. So what I want to see Solana do obviously is break back up towards $34 to $32. That is what I want to see it do. But what I'm under the understanding of is that there are a few key levels in between here that are going to be extremely difficult and that are going to make that process complicated. At this given point, what I'm on the lookout for is for Solana to break $27.25 to $25.63, this range right here. The reason being is, first and foremost, we have this key level of resistance. One thing you all must remember is that when a crypto is in a descending channel, when it breaks out of said descending channel, the most recent high from that channel is now its key level of resistance. Whenever you break out, you say, okay, we broke out here. When was the last time we touched that descending channel? Here, okay, this is the key level of resistance. This is the level we're going to struggle at, okay? Now, not only is this a key level that it's going to struggle at, but we have to pay attention to the fact that based on liquidity in the history, Solana's chart history, that there is a key level of resistance sitting directly above that, also at 27.25, because this is the little range that we put in this double top on before we did see the strong continuation to the downside, okay? So with that in mind, it tells us, okay, well, we can't just look at 25.63. We can't just look at this range because there's another key level of resistance and liquidity right above it, okay? And so with that in mind, it tells me that this range is going to be the range that, it's all for all the marbles, right? If we get rejected by it, we're probably going to get beat up to the downside a little bit. If we don't get rejected and we can really start to work our way through it, we cleared such a strong obstacle that even though we will likely backtest it, we are very likely going to get some type of strong continuation to the upside, okay? And so that's what I'm paying the most amount of attention to. The reason why I am somewhat skeptical right now is because of what we are seeing here on this 4-hour chart prime oscillator. The chart prime oscillator is one that I rely on a lot, especially, in the last, 6-7 months, and that's because it's rarely wrong in situations like this. And what we can see is that as Solana's price is venturing up towards this key range right here, what you can see is that we're getting red reversal triangles, our blue peak finder flashing, an overbought reading with a red reversal triangle within it. We're also getting all of these bearish momentum dots to the upside, and this blue line stands for hidden bearish divergence. And we got normal bearish divergence here, okay? So whenever you have, 4 to 5 bearish indicators flashing as you're approaching a key level of resistance, this is a warning. This is a warning to say, hey, even if we continue upwards, this thing is probably going to start to pull back soon. And so because of that, I do just get concerned that, well, maybe Solana's just not ready to get this move, and it could get a continuation to the downside rather soon here, maybe back towards the $23 to $22-ish levels. And so it does somewhat concern me a little bit, and that is the reason why we haven't been doing too much with Solana or realistically many of our other cryptos. Now, you all know I have been doing some other purchasing outside of Solana, so before we do get back to Solana, let me tell you about one thing that I am doing right now. It is a little bit different, and they are a partner of the channel, so I think you'd want to hear about them. So what we're going to talk about today is what's happening over on Sidekick Finance with a project from a good friend of mine, Krypton Calls Investing, and his project is called the Superman Project. Now, this is based off of NFTs. NFTs do give you access to a bunch of things, including a token, a private sale, and much more. So let's talk a little bit about it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then we'll get back to finishing this video with Solana. So as I mentioned before, this is the token that is run by a good friend, Krypton Calls Cause Investing. He is a partner of my own agency. He's a partner of my YouTube channel. He's someone that I've talked to substantially, and I do always, of course, like to support creators when they try things of this nature. So what we can see here is that this project itself is going to be built on top of their Superman NFTs. Now, this is the one and only tier, the Superman NFT tier. That's the only thing that you're able to purchase, and what happens is that all NFTs will equally split the passive income that they generate every month, which I'll explain in a second. Now, if you purchase 2 NFTs, you will also get your ticket into the private sale of the Superman token that is taking place towards the end of this month. And so it's honestly pretty interesting, right? So as I mentioned before, one NFT itself gets you access to just passive income through their metrics, in which we will explain in a second. And 2 NFTs is going to give you access to the private sale for their token, which could generate even more money, as their launch should go pretty decently with their plan that they have in place. Now, the way in which they're actually going to generate some of this passive income for their NFTs is going to be through their Pulse VIP and Pulse Elite accounts. Now, Pulse is a product developed by VFX Worldwide. It uses advanced AI algorithmic trading indicators in tandem with 2 large teams of competing traders. These traders have developed numerous competing strategies to maximize returns for Pulse account owners. Now, this Pulse account can return between 0.5 to 2.5% on principal amount daily. Now, of course, as time does go on, generally speaking, these amounts do decrease. Of course, you cannot sustain 2.5% every single day in the long term. Over a span of years, that just doesn't happen, but especially in early phases, it is very possible, and it is something I have seen myself. Now, what we can see here is that Superman's team has secured 2 Pulse accounts. One is the business account, which caps at 100,000 for Superman, which will be used directly for the token, and the other is a personal VIP Plus account, which caps at 500,000, where a 100,000 portion equivalent to the business account will be used for paying the NFT holders. So they're going to use these 2 Pulse accounts that are going to be generating money to, 1, buy back and burn the token, and for 2, to provide passive income to all of the NFT holders. This is actually a pretty interesting way to bring some utility not only to the NFTs, but to the token itself, in a way for it to actually generate revenue, to avoid the typical pyramid scheme structure that many cryptos do see. So I do believe this to be interesting. There is a lot more that goes into it in terms of the tokenomics, in terms of the Pulse accounts, etc. So if you do want more information, make sure you go over to their website. It will be linked down below. Go let me know what you think about it. This is something that I've gotten in on. I am one of the backers that have bought an NFT. I actually bought 2 NFTs so I could be a part of the private sale. So make sure that you do go check that out if you're interested. But with that said, let's get back into our video. So looking at this thing, guys, what I would go ahead and say to do at this given point, based off of the fact that we are aware that, well, realistically, this thing very easily could get a pullback to the downside relatively soon here, is I'm just going to do something quite simply called dollar cost average and wait. Okay, I'm not going in on long trades, especially right now. I'm not making huge purchases, especially right now. I'm simply just buying a little bit. I'll buy a little bit here, right? Boom, pulls back. Maybe I'll buy a little bit here, or a little bit here, or a little bit here. And I'm talking very, very small amounts, 1% of my total holding, less than 1% of my total holding. And the only reason I'm doing that is because there is a possibility that this move to the upside does come. Now, I don't think that's the most likely outcome. I think a rejection is the most likely outcome, but there is a possibility there. And so because of that, I'm just slowly dollar cost averaging and waiting for this range to get cleared. Now, once this range does get cleared, I am under the belief that at that point, Solana would be looking good for continuation. Then I might up my rate of purchase, or maybe I'll open a few long trades. But especially right now, while we're seeing this possible rejection, and while all altcoins are waiting to see what Ethereum is going to do on this trend line, as you can see here on the daily charts, Ethereum just came back here to its own macro trend line. And if Ethereum loses this, guys, trust and believe when I say, and it starts to pull back towards 1628, which is its first breakdown target, all of the alts are going to fall. Okay, all of them are going to pull back. And so while we're in a situation where we're waiting to see what Ethereum does here, while we're in a situation in which we're waiting to see if Solana can clear this level here, I'm not rushing. There's no point to rush. That is only a way that you can lose money. And, I don't like losing money on this channel. So with that in mind, I'm just going to keep you guys updated as this does play out and as we do get a little bit more clarity. If you guys did enjoy today's video, please make sure you let me know by smashing the like button on this video and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss the next update. I plan on posting 2 to 3 times every single week, so make sure that you tune in for those, and well, I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.